Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 505 Racing Show at Inravio.com. Welcome to another fun show. We have some good stuff in store for tonight, some good race talk, and for all you mothers out there, hope you had a nice Mother's Day. The weather finally cleared up, so it was a nice day for all the mothers out there and all the people celebrating Mother's Day with their friends and families and whatever else they did. And if your mother's no longer with us, I hope you at least had her in your thoughts yesterday or went and visited wherever they may be. I know I did that, and it's all good. Mother's Day. Anyway, coming up, we got some good racing coming up this weekend. I will be going to Dover, the Monster Mile, a place that I've officiated at, but I never went as a spectator. So that'll be interesting. It's a lot different. Let me tell you, when you go, when you've officiated for as long as I have, and then you sit in the stands as a spectator, as a fan, so to speak. And we all know I'm not really a big race fan. I shouldn't really say that, but I enjoy the races. I'm getting better because I would sit there and watch these races like this. You know, like I was officiating it, looking for who's bumping who's pushing who, waiting for that guy to take somebody out. And I would sit there. I mean, I'm serious. I would sit there serious like this. You know, no smile, no like you're enjoying it, right? But it was hard to take off the official's hat and put on the fan hat. It was hard to do that, but I'm getting better. So we'll have some fun at Dover. Regular fans sitting in regular seats. You know, I'm not up in the suites, not in the tower. So it's going to be interesting. I plan to go to a bunch of Sprint Cup Series events this upcoming summer, just because, like, you know, it's fun. It's a different perspective. And, you know, then I can come when I talk about this stuff. I could say I actually saw it live, that I didn't watch it, you know, because I DVR'd it, or somebody told me, I read it on social media. So anyway, it's all good. But a lot happened this past weekend. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what's going on at Rockingham Speedway down in North Carolina. Was going up for auction. As we know, there were some issues. We talked about it last week. But one of the things that happened, and I don't understand this, and maybe somebody could explain this to me offline, because, you know, went up for bid, there were two bidders, only two bidders for this racetrack. And I'm surprised International Speedway Corp was not one of them. But a $3 million bid was made for North Carolina's Rockingham Speedway, and the auction was on Thursday. And the bid came from, surprisingly enough, the company with the largest lien. They put a lien on the place and they're bidding on it. Now, to me, let's say they owe you $5 million. I don't know what the exact number is. Let's use $5 million. They owe $5 million to you, to me. Let's say I'm the guy. I lent them the money. They owe me $5 million. So now it's going up for auction. I'm hoping to recoup some of my money back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get $3 million. So I'm in the hole for $8 million. Now, the place is definitely worth it. Don't get me wrong. A little short track on Long Island went for $4 million plus. So I'm sure a place like Rockingham, you know, is worth more than that as well. So basically, they're going to satisfy the debt and take this place over. Like I said earlier, International Speedway Corp, which owns a lot of the racetracks that the Sprint Cup Series has events on, was not a bidder. I'm kind of surprised because there was a lot of races at what was called the Rock. Went to the Rock. I guess it was in '94. I went to an event there when I was living in High Point, and it was a gorgeous facility. It's one of those unique racetracks, not the cookie cutter tracks that you see today, the mile and a halves that are exactly the same, with the same degree of banking, the same length straightaways, the same length pit road, pit boxes, cookie cutter racetracks, I call them. Just like the way the modifieds are today, they all look the same. Put them out there in primer, no numbers, it'd be hard to tell who's in which car. Years ago, you could you could score for turn 3 because you knew they were unique. The cars were unique, and that's why they called them modifieds. But that's a whole nother story when we talk about that later on this year. We have something planned for that. We're going to look at some of the older modifieds of the day and how they've progressed over the years, and that's a show in progress. So once we get that going, we'll get that out there and share that with you. Because back in my day in the modifieds, when I say my day, when I was a kid and saw my first modified stock car race, it was at ISO Speedway. It was in the early 70s. And I remember sitting there with my grandfather, and we're sitting in the grandstands, and we sat just coming off of turn 4, because it was the closest bunch of seats to the exit gate or when you walked in, so that's where we would sit. And the cars lined up. There was 24 cars on the track, and as they're going out there, my grandfather, he gave me that elbow. It goes, "These are the money cars." Oh, thanks, Pop. I don't know what he was really talking about. And then the announcer, Earl Sonny Granger, the announcer there at ISO Speedway back in time, he made an announcement that because there was $250,000 of equipment on the racetrack right now. Now, this is like 1972, 3. That was a lot of money. The cars went for about $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 back then. So when you have 24 of them on a racetrack, there's over $250,000. Now, today, you put like, I don't know, 3 cars on the track at $250,000. But they were modifieds, and they were unique. And it was just a whole different era. But we're going to talk about that later on in the season, about the modifieds. And I understand we have Dino Oberto from the Mahoning Valley Speedway on the line. Dino, you out there?
Oh, how are you? I hear you talking about back in the day, and it was making me think to when I started out watching modifieds and stuff. But I'm here, and I'm always happy to be on the show with you guys.
Well, I appreciate that, Dino. I know you're a big fan of ours and help promote us up there at your neck of the woods there in Pennsylvania. What's going on in your place?
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. We just wrapped up an outstanding weekend with the modified triple 25s, 3 25-lap modified features was our headline. Not to mention all of our support divisions, which were pretty much fantastic. But we had some. Well, it just seems every week now we're having these right down to the wire finishes by less than a second, thousandths of a second. And I think of the 3 25-lap features we had, the first one probably had so much significance in it because Jack Ely from Wall Township, New Jersey, who tows up here every week, he has the opportunity to race at Wall, but he's hooked up as a teammate to Eric Beers, who drives for Dave and Laura DeLange from Lockport, New York, and they towed nearly 5 hours to get here to Lee Heighton. And but he's a teammate now to Eric Beers in a second car out of that stable, and he won his very first modified race. He's the first guy out of his family. His father, Jack Sr., used to race a lot in the New Jersey area. He did some Long Island racing back in his time, but he's now his crew chief. And first time that Jack, he was so proud, and it was just so emotional to see that. And he beat, of all people, some of the best in the business. He beat John Markovic by just inches. And Johnny actually said to him afterwards, he said, "Jack, you gave me too much room," and he went after it. And but Jack held on, and it was just so. There's something special about when you see a kid or you see any driver win his first modified race, because for most drivers that we know, that's the pinnacle of where they get to in their career after coming up through the ranks. And Jack has done that, and he's only 18, 19 years old right now. He's graduating high school this year. But there he is beating a guy, a multi-time champion like John Markovic, Austin Koshnosh, Jimmy Zacharias. That's who was in his rearview mirror as they raced to the finish on this deal. Matty Hirschman, just by the skin of his teeth, held off Bobby Jones, and again Austin Koshnosh for his first Mahoning win of the year. Was his second victory. He won a couple of weeks ago up at Evergreen in a 50-lapper. And then the third one, Earl Paulus, the defending champion, finally got a victory. But that wasn't without some controversy, because at the end of the night, Earl pulled a protest on Eric Beers, and Eric had won the first 3 races of the season, but Paulus had been kind of questioning the legitimacy of Eric's car. So they did this major teardown. It took them till 1:30 in the morning to finish up on that deal. And right now, both parties are kind of in limbo because there was some questioning about the MSD boxes, which are being kind of swapped back and forth between each team, and we'll know some of those results later in the week. But great racing between the modifieds, full fields. It was just great. Paul Kohler Jr. in our late model division, I got to tell you about this. This guy is approaching 50 career wins at that track. He is Eastern Pennsylvania's all-time career wins leader. He is one win away from 70 late model wins in the Pennsylvania area, in Eastern Pennsylvania on the pavement tracks, and he just continues to pull it off. Mike Sweeney, who is the point leader, has finished second 4 consecutive times. You gotta understand what's going through this guy. He finished second to Paul Kohler in the points last year. He has finished second 3-4 times now, and it's just really. I know he's chomping at the bit, so you can feel for him. Our street stock races, Joe, the street stocks this week for the second time in a row, 20 cars went nonstop, side by side, in just a little over 6 minutes. So we have now gone in excess of almost a little over 3 weeks, basically 2.5 weeks, if you will, without a caution in a feature with over 20 cars in each of those races. And it just shows you these guys are just so spot on and so serious about what they're doing. They are so clean. A lot of people used to give the impression about Mahoning back in the day, like, no, it's such a small track and they're always damaging and wrecking equipment. Well, that can't be further from the truth, because those guys, they barely touch one another. Most of our divisions are like that, and the street stock's just amazing. It's just too wide, and they went nonstop for the last 60 consecutive laps, if not more. So it was pretty good. Young Billy Lasco, he was our dirt modified winner. It was his first ever stock car win. And of all things, he beat our defending champion, Ricky Yetter, in a car that Yetter won the championship with last year, because Yetter sold it to him, and he got beat by his own car. So just amazing.
And I'll tell you, with the uniqueness of your racetrack, a lot of people go there and like, how do you drive this thing? And when I went there for the first time a couple of years ago, I was like, this is going to be a wreck fest. And I never saw better racing. And I've been to over 100 racetracks in North America. And to say that, I'm not just saying that because you're on the line. I was like, where are the cautions? There's no wrecks. These guys have ultimate respect for each other on this racetrack. And that's a clap in the hands and a pat in the back to the officials and the race teams that compete at your racetrack.
One of the things, and you're absolutely right, and I could sit here and tell you the same thing, how great it is, because I'm the PR guy, I'm the announcer there. But in all honesty, it's the truth. It really is, and you could ask anybody up and down the pike that has been there, that's the track. The racing sells that place. It's not us. We appreciate what you guys do and all the media. We all do what we have to do, but the bottom line is that the racing sells itself there.
It does.
And it's just quite amazing. I mean, here's another interesting, the hobby, or the Pro 4 feature, the margin of victory, Josh Shear beat Bobby Kibler Jr. by 0.001 seconds.
Wow.
So just... how do you put that into perspective? You can't get it any closer than that, but that's how close it was. And they were racing like that for the last couple of laps. It's just amazing.
It is
absolutely amazing. So hobby stocks, it's our entry-level class. We had over 20 cars for that just a few years ago. This class is only 4 years old, and we now have 20 to 25 cars a week, and it's just amazing. And I'll tell you, Mahoning Valley is a track that caters and really feeds upon second and third generation drivers, and that class is absolutely loaded with it. From I can go over name after name after name, but we even had Braden Spencer there. He is the nephew of Jimmy Spencer. His grandfather is Eddie Spencer Jr., and he raced there for the first time as well. So I mean, it's just a group of names of up and coming great racers that have been there over the years. So it never changes. It's amazing. It's like time stands still there. So, but it was a great show, and a lot of just the racing was nonstop. We had 9 features we had to get through, but those triple 25s for the modifieds just pretty darn amazing and pretty exciting. It was a little chilly, but that takes it out of it. I stood in the grandstands the entire night.
Oh, did you?
For the features, yeah, because it makes it easier for me instead of running up and down the hill. And so when I get to Victory Lane, and I feel it's important too. I like doing that because I want to be out there with those fans. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to think, hey, you're up there in a nice warm tower or something. And sometimes I am, but it's nice. I like to sit out there. I'll sit in the bleachers with a wireless microphone, and then I'm right there to jump into Victory Lane. But it was a little nippy, but when the cars are on that track, you just completely forget about it because they're running so fast and so side by side, and we do what we do to get that show completed. So it was just another great night. So happy to be there, and so happy to be able to report all this stuff to you guys because it's again appreciative of what you guys do for all of racing, and we need shows like yours to continue on in this.
Well, Dino, we're in this business together, and one hand washes the other, and my grandfather always told me one hand wash the other, and both hands wash the face, and you all have to work together.
That sounds like a pretty good deal there. So I'd like to. I got to give a shout out to my boy Mike O'Brien because he's the one that reminds me. Don't forget to call in. Don't forget to call
Video
in.
Mike. So, good people. But Dino, I appreciate you calling in. And again, I thank you for all you do. When I go to your place, I get to go in the press box with you guys, and I'm not a small, tiny guy, and it's a little crowded up there. But you guys always make room for me up there, especially on those cold nights. And I thank you.
And you know what? Our door is always open, so you come on in anytime. Sometimes I even ask Mike O'Brien to come in, but he never takes me up on the offer. So
well, I'm thinking 2 guys would have to leave if he came in.
I think we better leave it at that.
And I can say that because he's my buddy. Dino Alberto from Mahoning Valley Speedway, and then calling us with what's going on there. Dino, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thanks, Joe. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. All right, bye. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about some of the other racing events that went on up here in the Northeast and some places further south when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
How late did we start?
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Welcome back. All right, some of the things that went on. Patrick Emmerling, a NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver, took the win at Lancaster National Speedway in upstate New York. Emmerling grabbed the win in the 35-lap sportsman feature. Patrick Emmerling from the Buffalo area, oh, God forbid, the Buffalo area, seems to get in whatever he can get in, and he wins just about in everything he drives. So good to see Patrick getting the win up there at Lancaster. Jimmy Blewett raced to victory in a 40-lap modified feature at the Wall Stadium Speedway in Wall Township, New Jersey, Saturday night. Jimmy getting back to the asphalt deal in addition to his NASCAR wheeling modified ride in the Mystic Missile. Jimmy, always a talented racer and tough competitor. I remember the first time he came to Riverhead Raceway driving for Eddie and Connie Partridge, who now own the place. And I was like, oh, what is this going to be? This is going to be a nightmare. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't. And Jimmy was a professional. He always had professional equipment for the people he drove for, always displayed himself in a professional manner. And it's actually a fun guy to hang around and talk with. In fact, Freddie Kraft, who is a spotter for Rouse Fenway Racing, spotted for Jimmy not only on the tour, but also at the Riverhead Raceway. Some bad news. NASCAR veteran Dave Blaney was involved in a violent wreck at the Eldora Speedway in Ohio, a track owned by Tony Stewart. Blaney, the father of Sprint Cup Series rookie contender Ryan Blaney, was taken to a nearby hospital and released sometime after midnight with no broken bones, just very, very sore. After the wreck, he stayed in the car for a few minutes, gathering his thoughts. Now, if you've ever been in a wreck as a racer, or even on the highway, and I can remember, I was in a lot of wrecks in my day, and it's starting to show it's taking toll on me. But some of these wrecks that you get in, you know you're wrecked, and you just want to get out of the car real quick. But there were a couple. I just sat there. I just had to collect my thoughts and figure out, all right, what did I just do? What happened? I looked down, make sure all my parts are there, And they asked me, the old questions, oh, what were you doing? Oh, I was racing. Okay, you're good, and they help you out. But, when you're in a violent wreck like that, it's like time stands still. And I can remember a wreck where I went a little bit airborne, and I remember the nose going up, and I saw the sun and the moon and the stars, and then the nose just did that. And my only thought was, this is going to hurt. So when the nose hit the pavement, the next thing I know, the track crew people are over to me. When I landed, the rear springs and everything came through the interior tin. But time stood still. I don't recall it. It's kind of weird. A couple of wrecks that I had like that. I had a couple of wrecks with the late Kenny Hyde. He was in the pits later screaming at me, and I didn't even know what happened. But that's what happens. Time stands, and it goes so slow. It happens in slow motion sometimes because your mind is saying, whoa, we got to slow this up a little bit. And that's some of the things. Anyway, Jimmy Blewett, good guy. And Dave Blaney, again, I wish him well. I know he's probably going to be pretty sore in this upcoming couple of weeks. But, oh well. This is racing, and this is what happens. It's a physical contact sport. There was professional NBA basketball players, and they were talking. They said that it's a collision sport. It is. Those guys beat and bang like crazy. If you look around and see what's going on in a basketball game. Well, racing is no different. You're going on 190, 110, 130, 150 down a straightaway, and you're side by side. And things happen fast. Think about it. At 60 miles an hour, you're going 100 feet a second. At 120 miles an hour, you're going 200 feet a second. Right? And you're going like the length, 3/4 of a football field in 3 seconds. Think about that. Stuff happens quick. And by the time you react, I used to say to a spotter, when spotters say, there's a wreck in front of you, by the time the spotter does this, hits the button, wherever it might be, says it, your mind comprehends it, you lift to hit the brake, you're in it. You're in it. And, you know, when you have a wreck like this, especially these sprint cars on dirt, you know, I've been to a lot of dirt tracks from Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, even Oregon, and they're wide open. They burp the gas pedal, throw it into the turnstiles. I always wondered why there aren't any more wrecks. But when they do wreck, man, it's bad. So I saw pictures of the car, of Dave Blaney's car, and he's no young guy. He's like 60-something years old, you know, former Sprint Cup Series driver. And I had the opportunity to talk to him at the South Boston Speedway a few years ago when his son was racing K&N Pro Series East cars. And I said to him, what's it like watching your kid racing? He goes, man, I'm nervous. I said, yeah, I know this feeling. I said, my kid raced too, but not, I even said to him, not in a high dollar series like this, but when you watch your kid racing, it's a whole different, you don't feel, when you're a driver, you strap in, you're fired up and you go. You don't think about those times, but you know, when you're watching your kid do it, woo, I don't know, whatever. It's so good. But anyway, get well wishes to Dave Blaney. Also, one guy that I've known since he was born, Brian Chirico, was in a wreck up at Bethel. We'll have Bethel results later on in the show, but he was in a wreck, and he's a little sore tonight, so get well wishes go out to Brian. And like I said, I know him since he's born, you know, and watched him kind of grow up and then go up through the ranks and racing. And I'll tell you what, he's going to be a contender. And I know that, you know, that's a boxing term, but he's going to be a contender. And he's smooth, he's good, he's not afraid to try to fill the hole. And I didn't see the video of his wreck, but I bet you he tried to fill a hole that closed up real quick. And stuff happens. But they'll get the car fixed, and he'll be back out there for the next one, I'm sure. His dad works miracles, Chris. His dad, Chris, and I got to tell you, and I didn't plan on talking about this, it just came up, but my daughter wrecked her car so bad one night. Thank God, I think it was the last race of the season, and I had an enclosed trailer, a nice enclosed trailer, that the left front part of the bumper was about 6 inches outside the left wall of the trailer, and the right Nerf bar that ran across the door, which was kind of bent, was about 6 inches outside the right side of the wall of the trailer. I was going to tell my crew, just bring that car to the junkyard. It is unfixable. And Chris put that thing back together pretty much single-handed, because anytime I showed up, he'd tell me to go, and put it back together. I mean, he basically rebuilt that car. So he's incredible. He's amazing, and I always thank Chris for his help when it was my kid. Now it's his kid, and he's going to have some work to do in the shop this week. So, but again, get well wishes to Dave Blaney and also Brian Chirico. So it's all good, and everybody will be fine, and we all heal the best that we can. All right, coming up this weekend, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series will be at the New London Waterford Speed Bowl this Saturday night for a 161 lapper. That should be a good event. And I'll tell you what, it's like that track was built for modifieds. Unbelievable. And the racing that goes on there is awesome. And I can remember a few years back, I was officiating up in the tower, and they're racing and they're going, and all of a sudden the lights went out, the place went dark, and it's like every driver instinctively just stopped. And you heard the sound of the horsepower, 600 horsepower coming out of 24, 26 cars. All of a sudden there was silence. Nobody wrecked, nobody hit each other, and it was a kind of an issue with the lighting, but the owners and management at the time, we went a little bit of a delay. They got lights set up, and we finished that race. But it's a nice place to watch a race, especially a modified race. And it's not that far to get to from Long Island if you take the ferry. And not that I'm promoting the Crosstown Ferry or the London Waterford Speedway, but if you're into modified racing, that's the place to go. So that's what you want to do. What else we got going on? Oh, yes. Oh, Johnny. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we got a situation where we lost another one in the NASCAR world. A former NASCAR champion team owner, Steve Turner, passed away last week. He owned cars in the Camping World Truck Series and the Xfinity Series back when it was nationwide. He actually has a title, a championship as an owner. That was the 2012 championship in the Camping World Truck Series with his son-in-law, James Bruscher. So prayers go out to his family, and James Bruscher and his wife, and also to the Turner family. It's always tough when you lose a member of the family, because the racing fraternity is a family, and you're out there, whether you're a competitor or a fan, and you're out there, you're racing or you're cheering on your favorite guy, and you might not see eye to eye on the racetrack or even in the grandstands. I've seen some heated discussions in the grandstands about what's going on at the race, in the race with the drivers. My guy hit you, no he didn't. But at the end of the night, everybody's all good. Everybody's all good. And you go down to the pit area in some tracks, and the barbecues are going, and the food is going, and the beer is flowing, and everybody's back loving each other. And these tracks that don't do that, I was kind of surprised at some of the racetracks. What, they don't hang out after? No, but they go to the local diners. Like I know when I go up to Middletown, to Orange County Fair Speedway, there's a diner right around the corner, man. You go there, it's all race people. And in another place, I feel like I'm like the godfather of a racer when I walk in there, because and Kevin Basic, I think he signed off to go to a meeting, but he could tell you that I get bigger plates, my food's overflowing, and he looks at we get the same exact thing, and he looks, and he's like, he thinks some of my stuff spilled from his plate. But, and we walk around, we talk to people, and it's all good. So we have a good time with this. And like I said, it's a family, the racing family. And I'll tell you what, you get jammed up somewhere, and you call a racer, and you tell him you're a racer, you're involved in racing, that guy will be out there to help you. And I've experienced that firsthand. And I've gone bumper to bumper, toe to toe, wheel to wheel, nose to nose with people. And when the chips were down, those guys were the first guys knocking on my door to help out, and vice versa. I'm always out there saying, hey, what can I do for you? What do you need? And a little known thing that back in my Riverhead days officiating, there were people that I helped with tires. There was a guy I didn't even know. This guy, Gordon Burnside, he runs dirt late models down in Kentucky now. And I heard through the grapevine he didn't have any tires. Well, I had a ton of tires. I had a good tire deal, and there was a Charger guy who happens to own Inravio, who only put a certain number of laps on his tires, and he would give me his. So I must have had 20 or 30 tires that had plenty of time to go on them, and I didn't even know this guy, and somebody called me up, this guy Gordon, he needs tires. I said, tell him to go to my house, I'm not home, here's where they are, take what you need. And it became a lifelong friendship because I had something he needed. And then down the road one time, I needed his help with something. And that's what we do. That's what we do here. But it's one big family. Anyway, we're going to take a break. And we come back, we'll have the results of Bethel Motor Speedway. And we'll have some interesting chat about that as well when we come back.
Inravio.com wants you. Inravio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to Inravio.com/join the team.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the. But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We have the results from Bethel. I want to thank Tracy Churko from Bethel Motor Speedway, the business operations manager, for providing us this information, as Bethel Motor Speedway has become a marketing partner with the 505 On Racing Show. The first to sign on with us in 2016, the new thing that we're doing here. So if your racetrack wants to be a part of that, let us know, and we'll make it happen. Anyway, in the modifieds at Bethel Motor Speedway, we had Blair Curlhane had started off the year with a bang, this being his third win in 3 weeks. Skip Lepolt was knocking on his back door the whole race and finished second. Former division champ John Coate took third. Joe DeGracia finished fourth, and Robbie Konakowski rounded out the top five. In the sportsman division, this being only his first full season at Bethel, Rick Mill looks to be a force as he reckoned with, as he took first for the third time this year. Mike Dutka stole second with only 3 laps to go, leaving Kyle Redner in third, Dan Doolin in fourth, and Eric Moon rounding out the top five. In the legends, Richie Coy went home with his second win of the season after an exciting battle with second place Teddy Hodgson. Third place was Drew Bowditch, and fourth place was Joseph Graff. Eugene Drew rounded out the top of the field by finishing fifth. In the Bandoleros, Teddy Bowen took the win in the Bandolero class this week, while Sean Verais and Tyler Duchenhausen battled hard for second and third place. Mike Roth took fourth, and Ryan McCartney finished fifth. In the Pro Stocks, Kenny Atkins picked up his second win of the season, holding off Jim Helt, who finished second, while Kevin Skelly was third. Mac Crossan finished fourth, and Vinny Stanton rounded out the top five there. In the Street Stock Series, and Amber Van Orden beat out last week's winner, Kyle Welsh, who took down a second place second place, as Gary Van Orden finished third. Tweeter Polam took fourth, and Walt Henry rounded out the top five in the Street Stocks. The four-cylinder advanced defending champ Mike Travis picked up his third win of the season, holding off 2014 four-cylinder novice champ Brian Bornefend, who finished in second. Tim Curry finished in third, followed by Gary Miller fourth, with Robert Clark rounding out the top five. And that's it from Bethel Motor Speedway, a good place up there upstate by the Montecito Horse Track. If you're ever up in that area, stop in, say hello, tell them the guys at 505 on Racing sent you, and then all the crew at Inravio.com. A nice place to watch a race. The place every year gets better and better. I first went there in 1998, and I've been going on and off ever since, and every time I go, it's a little bit better. So, again, thank you to Tracy for the results, and congratulations to the winners, and also, again, a get well to Brian Chirico for his wreck and crash, and hope he's back in the seat this Saturday night at the Bethel Motor Speedway. So that's it from Bethel. Now we got, Kansas. A lot went on in Kansas. Now we had the Cup cars there. We had the trucks there, the Campbell World Truck Series. And, you know, the truck race was kind of rough at the end. It was rough all the way through. with William Byron running third going into turn 4. Johnny Sauter was leading, and he was spun after being hit by Ben Rhodes. It looked like an easy win for Johnny Sauter. And Byron, who's only 18 years old, he earned his first Camping World Truck victory, and he is the 9th next driver to win a National Series race. Now, Truck Series went like this. William Byron was the winner. Matt Crofton, second. Daniel Hemrick, former modified driver, third. Christopher Bell, fourth. Clint Boyer was fifth. Ryan Truex was sixth. Cole Custer, seventh. Timothy Peters, eighth. Ben Kennedy, ninth. Spencer Gallagher rounded out the top 10. Their next event will be Friday night in Dover. And that should be a great race. I've watched the trucks run there, but I watched from the infield wearing an official shirt. What a difference it's going to be watching him from the grandstand. It's all good. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I like about the Dover, there's a casino right in the backstretch, and there's a restaurant there, and it's like a parade of haulers coming in. And you just sit there, you're eating, and you watch the haulers all come in, and they go right past. You feel, if there wasn't a window there in this restaurant, you could reach out and touch them. That's how close they are. And it's the uniqueness, say that 3 times fast, of that racetrack. And when you watch that, you're like, wow. And you know, with all these big fancy haulers, you know, it's just watching them pull in is just incredible. So I'm looking forward to that. So it should be all good there. But now the Cup Series. Yes, the Cup. Kyle Busch was the winner. This guy's tearing it up this season. And I think he's trying to prove to people that, you know, he's not a paper champion. A lot of people were upset that he missed all those races. He missed almost, I believe, 10 races last year, and they made concessions for him. They kind of, not that they bent the rules, but there's a provision in the rules for that, and they did it for a couple of guys in the past, and he was a champion. A lot of people, well, you know, he missed all those races. He shouldn't be the champ. Well, you know what? He's going to leave, there's no doubt, the way it's going. He's winning everything in sight, and he won again here at Kansas. Kevin Harvick was second with his brother, Kyle's brother, Kurt. Third, Matt Kenseth was fourth. Ryan Blaney fifth. Austin Dillon was sixth. Ryan Newman seventh. A.J. Allmendinger was eighth. Chase Elliott ninth. And Brad Keselowski rounding out the top 10. Martin Truex, who had the pole, finished 14th, 1 lap down. In fact, he was the first car a lap down in the finish. Again, they will be at Dover on Sunday. And the weather looks real nice for the Sunday event. Just a rain Friday, but Sunday looks going to be pretty awesome. And again, I said the Xfinity was off this past week, and they will be at Dover on Saturday, the 14th. Now, with Kyle Busch's win at Kansas, that leaves only 2 tracks on the current schedule, on the Sprint Cup Series schedule, where he has not won. And when I saw the 2 that he hasn't won at, I was kind of surprised. But he has not won a Sprint Cup Series race at Charlotte Motor Speedway or Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Incredible. Like I said, the guy, he's going to prove to everybody he's no paper champion. And his most wins have come at Bristol. He's got 5 victories at Bristol in his career, 4 at Richmond, and 3 at the Auto Club Speedway. And the rest he has, you know, two, you know, and there's a few he has 1 at. But he's never won at Charlotte. That surprises me, because that's his type of racetrack. If he could win at Kansas, he could win at Chicagoland, he could win at Texas. It's the same track. Now, not exactly, but they're typically the same racetracks. Now, here's a guy that, like I said, you know, everybody, boo, 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 he's a paper champion, NASCAR's fixed. It's not fixed, all right, trust me. All right, you don't trust me. But the guy's running up front. He would have had to win a couple weeks ago if it wasn't, you know, from being kind of pushed and shoved out of the way, which was just good, hard racing in my book. That was just good, hard racing with what happened in there, and being pushed out of the way. And it wasn't that he pushed out of the way. It's an old bum trick. Carl Edwards, an experienced racer, doing this a long time, just held out, knew he was faster, but he couldn't get by him, and he gave him that little bump, knowing that at that point, you're just about to get on the gas. Now, if you could just get them a little tap, lift the rear wheels up a little bit. All that traction that's on the rear wheels isn't all there. You're going to get squirrely. You got to lift. Bam, he went on to win. So it's be interesting to see how that pans out moving forward, because there's going to be a payback. You know that. Maybe not, but I think there is. Now, also coming up in a couple weeks, the Sprint All-Star Race is scheduled for May 21st at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. So I've always wondered, how do they figure this out? It always changed, it always changed. People asking me, how do you get in that race? Well, here's how you get in. Who's eligible for this race? Well, any driver who won last season, which is 2015, or has a win so far in 2016. So that's why they picked the first set of drivers. Next is any former series champions who are still competing. So if you won the Sprint Cup Series title in your career and you're still racing, you're in that race. Former All-Star race winners, so if you've won this event in the past, you're in. Then there's 3 drivers will be added to the field by winning one of 3 Sprint Showdown segments, and then the last spot is filled by a fan vote. There's a minimum of 20 cars to start. If they can't fill that field, then they go into this tiebreaker thing. But I think right now, there's 20 cars scheduled to start that event. So I always liked that race because it was all or nothing. It was good, hard racing. And these guys, they're running for 7 figures here at this event. And it's like the late Chris Young said to me, you win on Saturday, you brag all week. Now, you win an all-star race, you're bragging all year to the next one. You're the all-star winner. And the money that race pays, now, a lot of people think that the driver gets it all. They don't, because most of the drivers, if not all, are on some kind of a contract. And the contract, some of them are on a straight salary. Some of them get a bonus for a win or a top 5 or a top 10. But a lot of them are on a straight salary. And when you look at the teams that are out there, who's paying? Hendrick Motorsports is paying top dollar. Rouse Fenway Racing, same thing. Joe Gibbs takes real good care of his people as well. Now you go back, the Petty Enterprises, the Richard Petty Motorsports. Traditionally, they never were able to get the top drivers to come race for them because they didn't pay as much. And that's the late Bob O'Rourke. He was a race director like all over the Northeast. I remember having a conversation there. So I had a Richard Petty T-shirt on. I was just a kid, and we were talking about that. And he was talking. He was, Richard Petty is one of the cheapest guys in the garage. I was, what are you talking about, Bob? And he said, he doesn't pay his people a lot of money. When John Andretti drove him, and he had some wins for Petty Enterprises when John Andretti was driving, didn't make a lot of money. Was probably one of the lowest paid guys in the garage. However, between endorsements and the sponsorship programs and commercials he did, you're able to make more money, and you almost have to. You don't see some of these top dollar drivers doing TV commercials like you did years ago, because the TV commercials back then, years ago, was more than you were making racing. So that's what you did. And some of those guys had the face, the look, the voice. Some of them didn't. But look at today. When Jeff Gordon was driving, he did his commercials for his sponsors. Michael Waltrip did a lot of commercials for his sponsors and whatnot. Ryan Newman. There's that Coca-Cola family, with Coca-Cola being the official soft drink of NASCAR. And they're all drinking Coca-Colas. A lot of things that people don't realize is, an announcer or a pit reporter goes up to a driver, and he has the Coca-Cola emblem on his fire suit, and they got a Coca-Cola. And before they answer the question, and they strategically hold the bottle of Coca-Cola, and they take a big slug, and they put it down. That's a big commercial. And what they've done is Coca-Cola pays them for every swig of Coca-Cola they take, and whoever has the most swigs at the end of the year gets a bonus. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about some of the ongoings that went on in Long Island and the Northeast this past weekend when we come back.
Village Music Shop of Mastic, 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Hey, welcome back. And I wanted to talk about something that was very controversial this past Saturday, and that was the early plug pulling of Eddie and Connie Partridge and Tom Gatz of the opener of the new Riverhead Raceway. And in social media, there were a lot of people that seemed to be upset about that, and all afternoon and into the evening, oh, it's sunny here, it's not raining there. Let me tell you something. My hat's off to Eddie for pulling. Because that was a gutsy move. And you know what? It's his home opener. It's his opening night. It's his first night as a promoter, as a track owner, as an operator. His first night, there was a lot of stuff planned, a lot of hoopla, a lot of things, giveaways, all kinds of stuff, fireworks, all of this stuff. And I'm sure he sat down with the powers to be, there's a little group that they talk and decide things, which is another good thing that's good about this new ownership. It's three individuals, and they lean heavily upon John Elwood for his input. And they sat down and they realized, you know what? Let's do this show next week. And there were a lot of people were saying, oh, I took off from work. You know what? Maybe you shouldn't be taking off from work to go to the races. Maybe you should work and go to the races later, because nobody works 24 hours. So the weather was nasty. It was misty. It was raining. The track was underwater. And there was puddles all over the place. The bleachers were wet. A lot of people weren't going to show up. They were not going to show up. And when you think about that, as a promoter, as a track operator, as an owner, on any other given night, you might roll the dice. You might say, let's take a chance at this because we can't make this up. But you know what? Opening night is still going to be opening night this coming Saturday. And he did the right thing. And he did it as early as he could so that some of these teams didn't head all the way out there, didn't wait in the parking lot. Okay, because I know in the past, and I'm talking from experience, on both sides of that fence, as a competitor, car owner, and an official, all right, they're all lining up out there. It's raining. Let's look at the Doppler. Let's look at there's a window here. Let's open it. Okay, open the gate. Now you get everybody in, and you open it up and unload, and Who buys tires? Who buys fuel? You laid out all this money, for your crew members. Well, your crew members laid out their own money because not everybody pays their crew entry fees like I did and buy their licenses. So there's an expense involved. And now you sit there, now you're waiting, it's still missing. Then you're out there trying to dry the track. And they're trying to dry, and they're doing lap after lap after lap, trying to make it happen, wasting gas. Then they ask and I hate to say lower divisions, but the less expensive divisions. Hey, can you guys go out there and help us dry the track? Yeah, and they're racers. They want to race too. So fuel at $10 a gallon. They're out there trying to dry the track up. And then you realize you're not going to get it. And done. And you know what? As tough as a call it is, when you only have a 5.5-month window to go racing, to call a night, it's tough enough. But to sit there, realizing Eddie and Connie Partridge and Tom Gatz sitting there saying, hey, you know what? We got this coming, we got that coming, we got fireworks. You can't put the fireworks up in the clouds because nobody will see them. So you know what? They did the right thing. They called it as early as they could. And for those of you who are upset about that for selfish reasons, shame on you. Yeah, we all want to go racing. I was going. I wanted to go out there. I wanted to see what everybody's been talking about. Like Bob Finan, the announcer at the racetrack, said on the anniversary show, he goes, it's like Christmas. I can't wait to go downstairs and see what's under the tree. The last time he was out there was for the flea market. Yeah, there was some minor changes, but now there's wholesale changes. Eddie and Connie Partridge have made that racetrack their racetrack. And a lot of people say, oh, the Cromedies, that owned it forever. Hopefully they go out there. Think about that. Now think about that. I don't have a beef with Barbara and Jim Cromedy. They served their time. They did the right thing for the longest time. They actually did it longer than maybe they should have. But think about when you sell your house, you don't go back and visit. Oh, I'm going to stop and have coffee in my old house. No. But I was disappointed that the races were canceled, but I'm not around every weekend because I'm doing this thing for Inravio and the 505 show, and I'm going to other racetracks. I'm going to Mahoning, going to Orange County Fair, going to Waterford, going to Mountain, or now Evergreen, going to Newechip, going to Wall, Stafford, Thompson, Loudon, Pocono, Dover. I'm not around every weekend. So I was looking forward to that, catching up with some old friends, people. My buddy Roger Oxy, his farewell tour, so to speak, in a car painted and lettered like a car he had years and years ago. Looking forward to that. I was looking forward to going down a pit area afterwards with Todd's crew and having some burgers and some of that apple pie that they bring, and they make the best apple pie I've ever tasted. Better than my mother's apple, but again, it was a different type of apple pie. We'll get into that later. But anyway, I think they did the right thing. Not that what I think matters, and it's one of those things. You can't fight Mother Nature. Sometimes you just got to go with it. But anyway, so they're waving flags in the control room that it's time to wrap up. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to watch our show tonight and be a part of it, to participate in the chat room, and for just listening and giving input. And it's the season's upon us, and racing's starting. And you know what? Somebody in the chat room said they have cabin fever. Yeah, I understand that one. And I want to go racing. I want to smell the fuel and the tires and see people that I haven't seen all year long. So anyway, so wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this week, I ask you to be safe, be careful, enjoy yourself, give somebody a hug, tell them you love them, and God bless you all, and we'll see you all next week.